For years, I've been training to be an elite hacker. A deadly game of cat and mouse, where combatants don't battle with blades, but with words. And semicolons and brackets and shit. But today is going to be my toughest fight yet.
I hope you're ready to end up on r/watch people die subreddit.
Tank, I'm gonna need some help with this one. Teach me something new. I know Chinese water torture.
Ew! Gross! What the fuck, James? This just went from r/mildly infuriating to r/am I the arsehole. And you're clearly the arsehole because you didn't read the Reddit rules! Looks like today you fucked up.
Eat his ass.
Down voted!
Whew. Man, I barely made it out of that one alive. Well, if I'm going to improve my hacker skills, I'm going to do it the only way I know how, by poorly retelling stories from the internet.
Insomniac 2023. They got hacked and it spoiled Wolverine. They got hacked cause they are fucking broke. When is Spider-Man 3 coming out?
Our first foray into the world of these dastardly digital delinquents should still be fresh in your mind. On December 12th, 2023, Spider-Man and Fruit Fusion developer Insomniac Games awoke to a threat.
Critical breach detected. Immediate response required. Dear company, an unfortunate situation has arisen. Your digital ecosystem has been compromised and a substantial amount of confidential data has been exfiltrated from your network. It's vital to note that any attempts to decrypt the encrypted files independently could lead to permanent data loss. We strongly advise against such actions.
Instead of demanding a private ransom from Insomniac and only selling to the public should they reject it, the hackers instead posted the files to a public auction, pitting Insomniac against the public to bid on their own sensitive data. With a starting price of 50 Bitcoin, Sony and Insomniac had just 7 days to decide what was more important, their privacy or $2 million. To support their claims, they attached proof of their hack, and what they'd stolen didn't look good for Insomniac. But who could do something like this? And what arthropod could they possibly be named after? Rhysida, named after a centipede, is a self-described cybersecurity team, which is technically correct, I guess. While nobody knows for sure where this shady band of digital mercenaries is located, it's believed that they might be based in Russia or one of its surrounding nations, given the time zones that they operate in and the occasional Russian comment found in their code. This team says they've victimized 77 different companies and operate as a ransomware as a service. The group leases their ransomware tools and infrastructure to affiliates, and the affiliates pay the Rhysida operators a share of the ransom monies they collect. Their victims are actually very rarely gaming related, with their primary targets being boring but lucrative industries like healthcare, finance, and utilities. For whatever reason, they fucking hate Jordan, like the country, with almost a quarter of all reported attacks coming from the Middle Eastern nation. The group had previously made headlines when they attacked the British Library, which is like a library but for British people. After exploiting a vulnerability in their VPN software, Rhysida demanded £670,000 in order to release their private data in what is known as a double ransomware, a signature of Rhysida and the very same tactic they used against Insomniac. Double ransomware is like a Mexican standoff, except 2 out of the 3 people are pointing their guns at you, and you've pissed yourself, you bloody idiot. Not only is the data exfiltrated or copied off the network, the data that's left on the network is encrypted and rendered useless. Unless you pay their ransom, of course. This might not be quite as devastating if you somehow manage to decrypt the data or keep regular off-site backups like you should, but by threatening to have your data leaked as well, you're put between a rock and a slightly larger rock, and you've pissed yourself again. Haven't you? God. Insomniac did not pay the ransom, and true to their word, Rysida leaked the stolen data. 1.67 terabytes of data were squirted onto the face of the internet, ready to be lapped up by everyone and their gaming news-addicted mother. While it would be frustrating if this was just some leaked screenshots or plans of upcoming games, I'm sure most people at Insomniac wouldn't lose too much sleep over it. But it wasn't. It was, well, everything. NDAs, sensitive contracts with major partners like Marvel and Sony, their release plans for the next 12 years, internal Slack messages, employee passports, even their shirt sizes, and how much money everyone gets paid by Hillary Clinton to make their video games woke. The upcoming Wolverine game, previously only teased by Insomniac, now had a full early build floating around the internet. Plans for several upcoming games were leaked, including sequels to other Insomniac titles like Ratchet & Clank and a scrapped online Spider-Man game, in what would end up being hefty foreshadowing for the massive amount of layoffs that have plagued the industry this year. Documents were also leaked regarding Sony's intentions to axe jobs. Insomniac boss Ted Price was pushing back against pressure from Sony to cut 50 to 75 jobs from the studio. Rumours of layoffs had been circling among Insomniac staff for months, but this made clear that the threat was real, part of a company-wide cost-cutting initiative that is hitting many of PlayStation's studios, despite the resounding success of their games and hardware. So not only are you spending your Christmas break trying to ensure you're not the victim of identity theft, you now have concrete proof that some asshole 8 rungs up the ladder wants to buy his second yacht, and the only thing standing in his way is your pesky salary, you greedy bastard. Interestingly, all of these leaks only account for 98% of the stolen data. The mysterious 2% was sold to an unknown third party for an unknown price. Insomniac waddled over to Twitter to put out a statement regarding the hack. Thank you for the outpouring of compassion and unwavering support. It's deeply appreciated. We want everyone to enjoy the games we develop, as intended, and as our players deserve. However, like Logan, Insomniac is resilient. Marvel's Wolverine continues as planned. The game is in early production and will no doubt greatly evolve throughout development, as do all our plans. This post was spritzed with an overwhelming show of affection from the community, with people passing on their sympathies to the devs affected. This sentiment was echoed on other platforms as well, even Reddit. One of the associate game directors at CD Projekt Red also passed on their sympathies as someone who'd been the victim of a hack. But more on that later. A day after the leaked data was dropped, Ubisoft was also the target of a digital intrusion. Unlike Insomniac, Ubisoft's security team were able to squeeze out the hackers from the network before they were able to make off with any files. In a TechWire article on the breach, hacker group Lapsus indirectly hinted at its involvement in the recent cyber attack at Ubisoft on Telegram, accompanied by a smirking face emoji. I figured if Lapsus had a name and a Wikipedia page, they might be behind similar attacks like this one, maybe even successful ones. And I was bloody right. Now that was a funny bit, but hey, I'm here to tell you about today's sponsor, me! Introducing Fantasy Division. Fantasy Division is born of our love of RPGs, fantasy, arseless chaps, 2000s PC gaming, and making money. Everything is custom designed by us, local artists, and local Chinese sweatshops, resulting in an insanely high quality product. I guarantee this is some of the best YouTuber merch you'll actually want to wear. Now, to celebrate this video, we've created a limited edition hacking themed torso type garment. While wearing this tee, your nipples and pancreas will be safer than ever from digital delinquents and greedy goblins. Now, we didn't want to waste your guys' time with pre-orders, so we've taken a gamble and manufactured everything ahead of time. Please take this off our hands. It's really hard to move around my apartment right now. Now, because of this, numbers are super limited, so if you like what I'm doing here and want to upgrade your wardrobe while supporting the channel, hit up fantasydivision.online or click the nonsense below to get one while you can. And if you upgrade to the War Chest bundle, you'll get everything from our first drop at a discounted price, along with a limited edition trading card. That's fantasydivision.online. Go fuck yourself. Get fucked. See, I couldn't do that in a normal sponsorship. Our second story takes place on September 18th, 2022, on the unofficial GTA forums, a place where gamers and confused car thieves congregate. In a thread titled GTA 6 America's Leak, user TPOTuber Hacker posted what they claimed were clips from Rockstar's upcoming and overwhelmingly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks are frequent, and even more frequently, fake. So the initial response to this was skepticism and ridicule in that kind of smug tone that only forum posters can muster. You can fool people with spaghetti code that may look convincing, but it all fell apart when you showed the in-game pictures that are apparently now internal Rockstar pictures. 3 out of 10 for the effort. Try harder next time. Some users in this thread began to cotton on to the validity of these videos and the equally valid legal implications that they have. Trust me when I say it's very real. It was amusing when I thought it was fake, but honestly, now I'm just scared and contacting my lawyers. I absolutely do not condone any of this, and you would all be very wise not to get involved. Consult a lawyer. Any doubts that this footage was fake were crumpled over the hood of a sports car at high speed after parent company Take-Two began to DMCA strike the footage wherever it was uploaded, which is why all the footage behind me is from GTA 5 or whatever nonsense my editors decided to put back there. Nice. Now, anyone who keeps up with gaming news or can count would have known that Rockstar had begun development on GTA 6. Earlier that year, they had taken to Twitter to unceremoniously announce the next iteration in one of the most prolific media franchises of all time, conveniently 2 days before their parent company reported its earnings. Many of you have been asking about a new entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. With every new project, our goal is always to significantly move beyond what we've previously delivered. We're pleased to confirm that active development for the next entry in the series is underway. What was news in this leak was everything else. With an official trailer still over a year away, these clips were the first anyone had seen of the game outside of Rockstar. It revealed both a male and female protagonist in a sort of Bonnie and Clyde situation, set in the iconic Vice City from a previous Grand Theft Auto game that I can't remember the name of. Now, all of this was rumoured in a Jason Schreier article from earlier that year, but since that required reading, most Grand Theft Auto fans couldn't understand it. Still, whatever doubts people may have had about Jason's article, these leaks all but confirmed it. Sorry, editor, I didn't really think this one through. The stolen videos themselves were all crude recordings of the game in an early build state, often with debug tools enabled. Much like the Insomniac hacking, these videos were most likely test videos and recordings sent between developers on Slack that the hacker was able to easily scoop up after gaining access to the messaging service. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how could this have happened? Who's behind the mysterious forum poster who leaked this? And what does happen if you click subscribe 3 times? It's believed that Mr. Tube R Hacker was able to gain access to Rockstar's nigh impenetrable data fortress through one of the most effective hacker methods, a devious digital charade that even the most seasoned security specialist cannot protect against.
Hey, g'day Mike, it's Dave here. I'm working from home today and I've forgotten my login details. I was wondering, could I just use yours?
This is called an insider threat attack, and here you can see 3 of the most common types. Mole! This is what was just portrayed in my award-winning sketch. By posing as an insider, an outsider with malicious intent is able to worm their way into networks that they shouldn't have access to. If they're an insider, on the other hand, malicious insider. I go crazy on the pussy, I'm malicious insider. This is where a legitimate employee, usually with a grudge against their employer, uses their access to the network to cause harm. As you can imagine, this is one of the hardest attacks to protect against, because the malicious insider, or turncoat, can use their intimate knowledge of the network to go undetected for weeks, months, or even years. Compare this to the smash and grab tactics a lot of hackers have to employ, where they try and steal as much as they can before being booted from the network. Finally, we have the careless insider. This is where a hapless fool working at the target company is used and abused, like your mother on $2 Tuesdays at the hooker drive-thru. This is why companies make such a song and dance about phishing scams, because all it takes is one click on an official-looking email to infect your whole network with malware. In addition to being the most common type of insider threat attack, the careless insider is most likely how Teapot Stephen worked his way into Rockstar. After all, it's how he hacked into Uber just 1 week before. Yes, if you remember the infamous Uber hack of 2022, the perpetrator of the GTA 6 one was behind that as well. What's in their name after all? Teapot Uber Hacker. Here was Uber's official statement on their resident careless insider. An Uber XT contractor had their account compromised by an attacker. It is likely that the attacker purchased the contractor's Uber corporate password on the dark web after the contractor's personal device had been infected with malware, exposing those credentials. The attacker then repeatedly tried to log into the contractor's Uber account. Each time, the contractor received a two-factor login approval request, which initially blocked access. Eventually, however, the contractor accepted one and the attacker successfully logged in. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, who's behind this? The answer might surprise you, or it might not. There's been like 50 videos done on this guy, including one where they gave him herpes in the thumbnail for some reason, and another one done by Ray William Johnson. I can't tell which is more disrespectful. This is Arian Kurtage, at the time only 18 years old, and the supposed mastermind behind the Lapsus hacker group, or cybersecurity team. As you can imagine, you don't exactly start your hacking career by breaching into Uber or Rockstar, and despite his age, Kurtage already had an impressive career by the time of the attacks. By age 16, he had apparently amassed a fortune of $14 million worth of crypto through hacking, which only made his oblivious dad's statements even funnier. I'd never heard about any of this until recently. He's never talked about any hacking, but he is very good on computers and spends a lot of time on the computer. I always thought he was playing games. Can you imagine thinking your 16-year-old is just playing Garten of Banban while he's actually stealing more money than you've earned in your entire life? Now, what makes the Rockstar hack even more insane are the restrictions he pulled it off under. Now, for some reason, the police hate it when you steal millions of dollars from people, and Kurtage was no stranger to the inside of a holding cell. While out on bail from hacking Nvidia back in February, he was checked into a hotel under police protection after being doxxed by rival hackers. Despite having his laptop confiscated and being asked by the police to pretty please not hack anyone, Kurtage managed to pull off the Rockstar hack with nothing more than a new mobile phone, an Amazon Fire Stick, and his hotel TV. Honestly, at that point, just let him do it. That's the sort of outrageous MacGyver scenario some tech-illiterate boomer would write into a CSI episode about computer hackers. Except it's real.
I'll create a GUI interface using Visual Basic. See if I can track an IP address.
Arian is autistic. Apparently so much so that the BBC felt that it was his most defining trait next to where he lives. That being said, it did play a major role in his sentencing. Doctors deemed Kurtage unfit to stand trial due to his severe autism, so the jury was asked to determine whether or not he committed the alleged acts, not if he did so with criminal intent. A mental health assessment used as part of the sentencing hearing said he continued to express the intent to return to cybercrime as soon as possible. He is highly motivated. After proving time and time again that he will continue to hack if given access to a computer, or, well, even if he's not, He has since been moved to a secure hospital indefinitely. Multiple members of Lapsus have since been arrested, many of whom can't be named as they're under the age of 18. Despite the millions of dollars that this supposedly cost Rockstar, the leaks don't seem to have had any impact on the hype for the game as a whole. The first official trailer for GTA 6, released in December of 2023, broke the record for the most views on a non-music YouTube video in 24 hours. Speaking of hackers ruining overhyped video games,
CDPR 2021. They got hacked 'cause the game wasn't fun.
this next story is the definition of kicking a man while he's down, or kicking a multi-billion-dollar corporation while they're down. Sort of hard to feel bad when you put it like that. Cast your mind back to the year 2021, when the reality of my monkey's paw wish to stay inside and play video games with no distractions really started to set in. Cyberpunk 2077 had been left out on the counter for about 3 months now, and it started to grow a white fuzz and waft a sweet, sickly smell. Ugh. The game, which was probably one of the most anticipated things next to GTA 6 or the sequel to Woman, ended up being a buggy, unplayable mess. Naturally, dumplings like me lined up to make dog shit videos in order to get in some easy kicks. Amidst all of this, CDPR was clawing to regain the revere that they once held within the gaming community, and to that end were desperately trying to fix the game. And then they got hacked. Now, skepticism of CDPR was at an all-time high. After all, they had massively oversold the features and, well, playability of Cyberpunk, especially on last-gen consoles. So when it came out that they'd been hacked, this was clearly some ploy to buy them more time to work on the updates, or a desperate bid for sympathy. Oh, it actually was real. On February the 9th, CDPR took to Twitter to announce that they'd been a victim of a digital version of the JFK assassination, where they were JFK and the bullet was a ransomware attack, and the brains on Jackie Kennedy's dress were the hopes that players had of Cyberpunk being good anytime soon. And the governor of Texas was the data from the staff, the leaked personal data from the staff. Yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Now, I obviously don't condone the theft, destruction, and blackmailing aspect of hacking, but starting your ransom note with "your have been epically pwned" in the year of our Lord 2021 is kind of a baller move, TBH. Sorry, CDPR. The note alleges that they made off with source code for Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, and Gwent, as well as an unreleased version of The Witcher 3, which would end up being the next-gen update that released in December of 2023. They also claim to have stolen documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Now, unlike Insomniac, who had their data put up for public auction before they could make a statement, or Rockstar, who had their data leaked on a forum before they could make a public statement, CDPR was actually the one to announce their hacking. This didn't help win over the skeptics, especially in combination with the comical ransom note that reads like someone who hasn't used the internet since 2005 being forced to write how they think a hacker would speak. CDPR also chose not to explain how the hackers gained access to their files, probably so as not to give the public a play-by-play on how to steal from them.
Yeah, so here's where the thieves broke in. As you can see, lock doesn't really, kind of pretty easy to break in, actually. Surprising more stuff wasn't stolen. All the money I keep under my bed because I don't believe in banks. And here's my address.
Of course, there are easier ways to win back the gaming public than stage an elaborate hack which cripples your business and tanks your stock price. And it turns out that the hack was in fact real. After CDPR refused to pay the ransom, the hackers attempted to auction off the data with a starting price of $1 million and a buy now price of $7 million. As part of the sale conditions, you agree that it cannot be distributed further, which I'd be curious to see whether or not anyone actually adheres to that. Like, is there really honor among thieves? Meanwhile, CDPR was still desperately trying to flex tape all of the holes in Cyberpunk 2077. Following the attack, their internal network was temporarily disabled in case one of the hackers forgot their code and attempted to hack back in to get it, which meant that accessing the tools and resources that the developers needed was out of the question. This was especially difficult for remote employees, who had just been given the go-ahead from management to begin working from home not long before this. The auction was closed after they received an offer from outside the forum which satisfied them, which is exceptionally vague. The MCSoft blog also suggests that no buyer exists and the closure of the auction is simply a means for the criminals to save face after failing to monetize, whether it was sold or not. 4 months later, in June, CDPR announced that the stolen data had made its way onto the internet. Of course, since this dropped around the same time as the Elden Ring trailer, it flew under the radar a little bit. Despite the massive amount of stress that this placed on an already stressed company, CDPR eventually managed to bounce back, with Cyberpunk being voted to win the Labour of Love Award at the 2022 Steam Game Awards. Now, there was a lot of discussion about what exactly a criminal could even get out of this leak, especially at such an outrageously high price. The private data of employees could be used to facilitate identity theft, which unfortunately does have its value, but the rest of the data seems not really worth it. Fascinating for sure, but I struggle to see how a lot of this data would be worth millions of dollars to a shady third party. Now, access to a game's source code can help cheat programmers bypass a game's anti-cheat if it's an online game, allowing them to sell cheats to the sort of acorn-dicked losers who want to taste the fruit from the tree of success without putting in the effort to nurture its seed. This makes sense for something like Fortnite or Call of Duty, where cheats can help a small man feel big, but the only online game CDPR makes is Gwent, which is a card game. I mean, I'm sure you could find a way to cheat at Gwent if you really wanted to, but would the cheat programmers really make back the millions of dollars they would have had to spend on the source code in order to figure out how? Still, cheats aren't always made to turn a profit. Sometimes they're about sending a message, like in
Apex 2024. Oh no, they had wall hacks, they had aim hacks. Oh my god, all the hands on the criminals.
Now, I personally love this story. A story spurred on by two hackers, not driven by profit, but by chaos. These guys risked litigation and lockups in order to shine a light on a major blight of modern online gaming. And even then, that was probably just a happy accident. Apex Legends has more cheaters than Ashley Madison. If you Google Apex Legends cheaters, it spits out 612,000 results, which doesn't actually mean anything. I just find it funny when people quote that as though it does. You can find years of posts on Reddit complaining about how bad EA's anti-cheaters, or how the cheaters are the worst they've ever been, or how the cheating problem doesn't get the attention it deserves. But it would only take 2 days from this post for the cheating epidemic to take center stage during Apex's Global Series tournament. The Global Series is a massive Apex esports event that's been running since 2019, and 2024's was shaping up to be their biggest one yet. Sporting a prize pool of $3 million, first place would be waddling home with a giant $ sack carrying $600,000. On the weekend of March 16th, 2024, the North American region finals were kicking off. Midway through Sunday's game, Dark Zero team member Jen Burton inexplicably found himself with a sixth sense, the ability to see through walls.
Wait, what the I'm getting hacked!
Specifically, he could see enemy players through walls, which was great because then he could shoot them with his gun that he had. Now, given that he was streaming his screen live and didn't want to get his team disqualified, and, because cheating is bad, he immediately quit the match and called for an admin.
I didn't leave the game, right? Yeah, I'm leaving. It's like, what the
Admin's down. Nick, admin's down. Nick,
But
admin's
I left.
At this point, it was unknown whether the problem was isolated to Jen Burton's PC or if the tournament servers themselves were infected. Shortly after, one of the biggest Apex Legends players, Imperial Hell of TSM, also found himself the victim of an equally unwanted empowerment when he realized he was aimbotting mid-game.
Can we shoot height? Yeah, shoot now.
I'm cheating. I'm cheating. I'm shit. I got aimbot. I have aimbot.
Oh no.
Not wanting to abandon his team, he initially rationalized trying to stay by saying that he simply wouldn't shoot. All the while, his teammates yell at him to quit.
I have aimbot right now. I literally have aimbot.
Leave the game.
What if I just don't shoot?
He ultimately agrees and leaves the match.
They stopped it.
Holy.
Now, I don't blame him for initially trying to stay. You're in a high-stress environment with a lot of money on the line. All the while, your teammates are yelling out plays as the enemy closes in on your position, and now you have to deal with aim hacks inexplicably appearing on your PC. Something, I should point out, which has never happened in a tournament before, and that most people probably don't even realize is possible. Both matches were postponed after the affected players spoke up, and after it became apparent that the hacker may continue to give gamers godlike gifts, developer Respawn Entertainment decided to completely postpone the tournament. Due to the competitive integrity of the series being compromised, we have made the decision to postpone the NUF finals at this time. We will share more information soon. Jen Burton tweeted out his frustration that this could even happen. EA, fix your fucking shit. Get a better anti-cheat. Multi-billion-dollar esports, by the way. Meanwhile, Imperial Hell just cracked jokes about the situation. After all, it's not like there was much else he could do, as his account was temporarily banned while Respawn investigated the situation. As you can imagine, the unprecedented nature of the hack was a PR disaster, with scores of players who'd spent years complaining about cheaters lining up to tell EA and Respawn, "I told you so." I've been watching esports for 15 plus years, and this is the most insane thing I've ever seen on a live broadcast. Apex has always had a cheating problem, but giving players hacks mid-game? This is potentially a massive security breach, and hopefully the PR from this will finally force Respawn to fix their fucking game. Now, Respawn would not admit how this breach occurred, which makes sense as they wouldn't want to encourage copycats. But the hacker himself also refused to admit how he did it. But more on him soon. The Anti-Cheat Police Department, a volunteer organisation that helps detect and disrupt cheating vendors, believes that it was an RCE exploit, either in the game's code itself or within the game's anti-cheat, ironically. RCE stands for Remote Code Execution and involves a hacker executing code remotely. Basically, it allows an unwanted intruder the ability to inject and run whatever code they want on your PC via the infected program. In this case, either Apex Legends or the easy anti-cheat that it uses. Thankfully, this hacker was content with just executing some cheat software and fucking around, but as you can imagine, letting a hacker run whatever code they want on your PC is probably the last thing you'd want to let them do, besides retiling your bathroom.
Yeah, I don't fucking know, man.
So what was your plan? I want a guy to tile my bathroom. I thought you would come with some equipment.
I already thought you'd have the equipment. I thought I just had to show up and do it.
That's not how it kind of doesn't normally work like that. Like, you buy a tiler on fucking Airtasker, they bring equipment to put tiles.
You should have said that in the ad.
I said I want a tile.
Apex's anti-cheat software, Easy Anti-Cheat, came out of a 5-year social media hiatus to deny the possibility that it was their software that was at fault, before presumably returning to their cocoon for another 5 years. Whatever the point of entry was, the remote code executor was a hacker who went by the name Destroyer 2009, and his buddy reformed him. This wasn't the first time that Destroyer 2009 had twisted the nipples of Apex Legends, as there are several documented cases of him using hacks to disrupt non-tournament games. He also didn't bother to keep a low profile, giving an interview with TechCrunch only a few days after the hack. Now, obviously what he did was bad. Like, he would have wasted the time of a lot of people who now had to work long hours in order to patch this vulnerability, not to mention the tournament staff who now had to reschedule this entire tournament on the fly, and of course, let's not forget the hardest working people of all, the Twitch streamers. But despite all this, Destroyer 2009 seemed very aware of what they were doing and didn't want to cause any real harm. For example, it would be completely plausible to assume that the players already had the cheat software installed on their PCs that they used when not streaming and simply forgot to turn them off for this tournament, like the guy who forgot to turn off his Chun-Li nude mod when hosting a Street Fighter tournament.
Yeah, that's a very interesting Chun-Li costume there.
But Destroyer 2009 wanted everyone to know that it was his fault, not the players. And so his hack also posted a message to chat, essentially adding a signature to his artwork. In his interview, Destroyer said, "Just imagine if it wasn't a joke and we didn't put any memes in the cheat. I'm pretty sure you can ruin someone's career if they had a cheat pop up in a tournament." He even chose Jen Burton and Imperial Hell because they're just nice guys. Free attention and views for them, he added. Despite claiming to have done this exclusively just for fun, a part of me believes that he did this in part to draw attention to Apex's overwhelming cheater problem. After all, years of complaining clearly didn't get EA or Respawn to fix the issue. But you know what would? Money, or the threat of losing it. In addition to the massive PR disaster that this caused, huge swaths of players uninstalled the game out of fear that they too could be the victim of a hack. This time from someone who wasn't content to just install cheats. While time will tell if this finally gives them the kick up the arse they need, Destroyer 2009 has confirmed that, at the very least, they patched the vulnerability that he used to humiliate them. Alright, we're Gucci. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. Appreciate you sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. As you can tell, I'm trying to ramp up the production quality with every one of these videos. And unfortunately, that does cost a little bit more money. So if you have the means available to you, please don't if you don't. But if you're one of the lucky few who can, please consider going over to patreon.com/minikudos, chucking a couple bucks my way, or pick yourself up one of these awesome Fantasy Division t-shirts over at fantasydivision.online, and there'll be links in the description to both of those. If you're after more content, why not check out the second channel? It's like this, but I actually post. We're doing multiple videos a month, really ramping up production on that channel too, and that has been a ton of fun. So be sure to check that out in the description as well. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe, all that, whatever. Yeah, you're a gem. Keep being you. What do you think? Exactly.